Morning. It's Matt here. As you can see, I'm sitting in the back of Semper Fi, my 1946 J3 Piper Cub. Still waiting on getting my ignition fixed, so I'm still grounded. I thought I'd do a video on how I use this non-electrical system airplane with a VHF radio so you can still talk in the pattern and get weather and what's going on. So talked before, my airplane doesn't have an electrical system, so I have to use portable electronics. And everybody kind of fixes their own system, but this is what I've done and what works for me. The first component I did is your basic Rexxon 530 Portable VHF. Now, this is pretty reasonably priced. There are some things about the Rexxon that I like and some things about it that I don't like. What I like about it is it's very small. It fits in the tight confines of my airplane very well. It also seems to work really well in where I've been flying it. I've had no problem talking to ATC, no problem talking to other pilots. So even though I'm just using the attached antenna here rather than a separate antenna, it seems to transmit and receive fairly well. What I don't like about it are several things. One is the keypad. It's not very intuitive. It doesn't have buttons labeled off, on, channel, volume, things like that. It's got a huge keypad here which will do hundreds of functions, but it's not clear by looking at it what the functions do. To change the channel, you might have to hit the 8 button and then the arrow up button. It's not very intuitive. Now, I've put in about a dozen frequencies that I commonly use in this area, and it's pretty easy to turn it on and then scroll up and down through the presets. But if you're flying along and wanted to save a new preset, there's not a real easy way to look at it and say save or enter or preset. It's like they tried to put too many functions into the small radio, and as a result, it gets very complicated. So if I haven't flown for a week or two, or maybe sometimes a month, I'll get out the manual before I go fly to refresh myself on how to change the channel and do things like that. The other thing I don't like about it is you seem to need to leave it in the charger. What I mean by that is I usually leave this in the charger in the hangar or at my house so that when I grab it to go flying, it's fully charged. However, if I forget, even if it's 100% charged and I leave it in the airplane when I go home, if I come back in a month, the battery is almost completely run down. So even turned off, it seems to drain the battery. So you have to remember to take it home with you or plug it in your hangar to keep it charged. Now, it comes with this prong fitting here as part of the Rexxon kit. Plugs into the radio fitting, and then you have your basic headset plugs here. Now, you can plug these in two different ways. What I often do, especially with a passenger, is I plug it into your basic portable Flightcom 2 portable voice-activated intercom. Now, you plug the radio into this, you then plug your headsets into the headset entry of the Unicom, and you have your headsets. Now, you do have to turn this on. You can adjust the squelch. It takes a 9-volt battery in the back here, which does seem to last a long time because I've never really had a problem where I thought I had to change the battery early or anything. And it works very well. I think I have a little bit of interference with this intercom and my engine. When I upgrade my electrical system, I'll be going to a newer shielded harness, and that might get away from it. But right now, every now and then when you key the microphone to talk, you'll get a really loud squeal in here. So there still is a little bit of electrical interference between my engine and this, but it's not bad. If you tinker with the volume and you tinker with the squelch, you can usually get rid of that and comfortably talk to your passenger in the front and plug it in. If you're flying by yourself, you don't have to use the intercom. What you can do if you're flying by yourself is you plug the radio this directly into your headsets, and you don't have to use the intercom at all when you're by yourself. Now, if you want to make a video where you're talking on your video while you're flying, you do need to use the intercom or an adapter here. I'm not really getting into how to do videos in the airplane, but the Garmin or the other manufacturers come with an adapter that fits in line to this set here so that the audio input for your camera goes in between the radio and your headset. The other way to do is to take a portable mic, stick it inside the headset of your headphone. That seems to be easier because pretty soon with your intercom and with this and with the mic, you end up having a lot of cables in here. So what I usually do is just put the headset or the microphone inside the earplug headset. Now, if you do that, you do have to use the intercom, because when you don't have the intercom, your mic's not hot. So if you talk, it's not going through the radio and amplified sound. It's just you talking, and it's not going to sound very well. So if you do want to use the microphone in your headset to talk over a video while you're flying, you do need to use the intercom so that you have the hot mic and it makes noise. Now, how did I mount this in the airplane? When I first bought this airplane, I still was working on building my RV, so I still had a lot of spare aluminum and metalworking tools in my hangar. So I stole this idea from another person I saw on the J3 Cub website on Facebook. And basically what I did is I built this bracket, and I've got some better pictures here I'll show. But this bracket slides down in the small gap on the left side of the airplane where the sliding window is. You can see where it slides down in right there. And I built this so that the radio fits right on there, and I tinkered with this angle so that when this is in the airplane, the radio screen is pointing directly at me and I can see what channel I'm on. And then this front part, this is the back of the mounting bracket for the intercom. The back of the intercom has these plugs, fits onto the bracket, slides down, and it attaches. And this is what I hang on the side of my airplane. You do then have to remember to plug the intercom into your headset plugs. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, your headset goes into there. You do need to remember to leave this turned off. You leave that off when you come back to go flying, the battery in your intercom is going to be dead. And then this fits right here. Now there's a few problems with where it sits here, but this is the best place I've found. Yes, it is far enough in front of the throttle, so I have full throttle movement. However, if I get it exactly where I like it, when I put a passenger in, the passenger's shoulders will just touch their headset plugs going into the intercom. It's not perfect, but it hasn't been a problem yet. I've been able to fly with passengers, and they don't seem to mind, and you can talk back and forth very well. What I have not done yet is added a push-to-talk. I do have a push-to-talk switch, which will attach on the top of the stick right here, and it'll plug in line into the radio so that you push-to-talk. Now, what I've been doing so far when I want to talk is I have to take my left hand off the throttle, reach up here, and hit the mic button on the radio. It's not a perfect system. I'm in an uncontrolled field. It's not that big of a deal. Ideally, I'd like to have a push-to-talk over here, but I got a lot of wires running around here now, and I haven't found a way to actually get my push-to-talk and all the other wires in here in a way so that I don't feel like there's a bunch of wires at my feet. But that's a work in progress. I'll eventually get the push-to-talk here on the stick so that I don't have to take my hand off the throttle to use the radio. There are some other ways some other people have done with this. When I bought the airplane, it's obvious that the prior owner had a radio attached right here because he has a piece of Velcro stuck on the wing root, and he had a radio attached there with Velcro. Wasn't crazy about the Velcro idea, but you do see a lot of them attached here. You will also see people will get an external antenna, and they'll put it up here on one of these braces, and then they'll plug it into the radio to get a little more of a stronger antenna. Again, flying around here, I've not had a problem. At my previous field, there was a lot of corporate traffic. I was in the pattern, and I was able to talk to people in business jets flying around the pattern and everything. I've never had a problem with somebody saying they couldn't hear me okay, and I've always been able to check weather and talk to other people. So for my purposes here, talking basically a local airport area, it's worked fine. And then, of course, here's the view if you're just using a single seat system where you're not having any passenger. You don't need the intercom, and you would plug the headset directly into the side of the Rexxon radio. Okay, that's the system I use. There are some other methods. Some people will take a small box and they'll fit it behind the passenger seat, and they'll take a regular dash mounted radio and they'll stick it in there, hook it up to an external battery. Some other ways that people have done is they'll, as I mentioned, this airplane was originally done, is they'll put one up on the wing root with Velcro, or perhaps to one of the overhead braces in the fuselage. It's all a matter of personal preference where you want to stash your radio. You want it so you can see it and easily reach it, but mine is still very much a work in progress. This is what I got when I first started so I could go flying. I'm still kind of tinkering with the location and how I work it, but if you've got a small airplane like this that doesn't have an electrical system and you're looking for a way to easily have your portable radio so you can go flying and communicate in the pattern and other places around you. These are just some thoughts of what works for me, and if you come up with a better idea, please let me know and let me see what you do, and I might change mine to be like yours. In the meantime, hit subscribe if you like this video and you like watching and learning about J3 Cubs, and let me know what you like about the video, and keep watching. Thanks. And as a bonus for today's video, this is my instructor and my mechanic giving a lesson in his gorgeous Aranca Champ.